Hello, hello, good evening. It's Monica from Life is Art and Scrap. It's almost Monday. Let's create. We are going to be creating this evening with the Cosette collection, which is the featured collection for the month of April. And you can find it in the April to June Close to My Heart catalog that we just launched at the beginning of April. And it is a very pretty collection, lots of vintagey inspired florals and some really fun graphics on here. We're going to be creating tonight, we're going to use some of the pattern paper, stickers, cardstock. I don't think we're using Picture My Life cards. We may use the die cuts. We will see how it goes. And I'm also pulling in a stamp set, and this is from the core catalog. It's called Floral Blooms. It's one you have seen me create with a few times. And I have a great big bowl full of stamped and fussy cut florals from this collection, so I like to dive in there and include them in some of these layouts. I stamp them in coordinating colors that match the Cosette collection, and so those are a good resource to pull from when creating. Do you guys do that? Do you stamp things ahead and have them ready and waiting? Good evening, Ellie. Nice to see you're watching. Hey, Deborah. Good evening. And Linda's here too. Hello, hello. If you're popping on to watch, just say hello or howdy so we know you're here. And if you're watching later on replay, you can, of course, just say replay. I'm just pushing up my sleeves, getting myself ready to go. Hi, Mom. Nice to see you're watching. So we're going to start our layout tonight using a piece of the mulberry cardstock. This is one of the coordinating colors from the collection. And I was just, before the video, trying to decide if I was going to use the light side or the dark side for this. And so let me just kind of take a look here. I think I'm going to stick with the true color side, which is the dark side of the mulberry. And just going to line that up on my Versamat, so hopefully you can see the entire layout as we create. Howdy, Shannon! And Levine is here. Hello, hello. Oh, you're still at your retreat. Awesome. And Joanne is here. Good evening. So tonight I'm going to be scrapbooking using 4 photos. And let me just pull them out here. I've got 4 photos. And these photos are from when my oldest son, Justin, was just a little guy. And it was probably even before Joshua was born, because he's not in any of the photos. So this is when Justin was really little. They're 15 months apart, so he would have been, probably less than a year old. And this was 5 generations of Haywards in this. Well, not exactly Haywards, but close enough. So we've got 5 generations anyway. We have Justin, and then my husband Sean, and his mom Susan, and then Sean's grandpa Al, and his great-grandmother Doris. And so this was a really nice picture to get because of the people in this picture. Only 3 of them are still with us. So so it's nice to have these photos, and because of that, I'm hesitating to trim these photos. So I'm going to be using them as full 4x6 photos, just the way they are. And I've been kind of holding on to these, and when I saw the Cosette collection, I thought, now is the time to use them. They've got the nice wood in the background, which kind of matches with the toffee. There's some bloom, my husband's tie that goes with it. Justin's shirt is a little bit yellowy green, and that looks nice with it as well. And so I thought this is the perfect collection to use these. Plus, it's kind of vintagey, 5 generations. I guess I can say it's vintage because Justin is now 20. So these are 20-year-old photos. And so I guess that makes it vintage, right? At least with cars. 20 or 25 years. So we're going to be using those 4 photos. And I'm also going to be using, if you were on during the crop, you will remember that I did a layout using some vellum, and I did some paper tearing. And during that live, I said, don't throw away the pieces that you tear off, because you can use them on something else. And so I'm going to be using those pieces on this layout tonight, just to prove you shouldn't throw those little bits out, because you can still use them. Hey, good evening, Marilyn. Are you home now or still visiting? I know you were at your mom's, I think. And so I'm also going to be bringing in some zip strips. So I've got this fun zip strip from the collection that has the toffee background and a bit of a doily. And I thought that the doily was kind of a nice effect, because these photos were all taken in a gazebo, actually at the nursing home where Doris was living at the time, and now Papa, Sean's grandpa, is living. And so I thought this sort of lattice work kind of tied in with the doily, a little motif there. I'm also going to be bringing in this zip strip, which is a diagonal stripe. I believe it's in the mist color. And what I've done is I've taken it and put a tiny little bit of adhesive just at the top and the bottom, and I rubbed it off afterwards, and set it on my trimmer and trimmed it in half. So this is 1/4 of an inch of zip strip. And then I had a couple little scrappy bits of this paper left, and it wasn't actually enough to do 2 full lengths from side to side. So these are kind of odd sizes, but I'm going to use them in conjunction with this other piece here. So it doesn't matter that they're not quite the right size, because they're going to kind of taper together and hide each other. So let's get started building. And I'm going to start from the bottom using this doily zip strip first. And find the end of my adhesive. And we're going to stick this on. And I want to have this one lined up right with the edge of my cardstock. And this is how we'll know if we're on the edge with the video, is whether you can see the zip strip once I put it down. So I'm going to line it up right with the bottom of the page, just like that. Oh yes, we are all in the screen. Excellent. I wasn't 100% sure. Kind of hit right on the edge there. And then I'm going to layer up this mist colored zip strip. And for this one, I'm going to need some liquid glue, because I'm never going to get my tape runner lined up. So what I do actually is I put my glue right on my page, rather than trying to get glue on that skinny little strip of paper. So that's a good tip that I like to share, is just put your glue right on the page. Makes life a lot easier. And then we can just line up our zip strip, butt it right up against that toffee doily one, all the way along. Very nice. And make sure it's all stuck down. And then we come to these 2 pieces. And these 2 pieces, I need to kind of make sure that they're going to hit in the right spot. Now this one, I've actually cut the edge so that when you look at it, this isn't going to be flat. It's going to leave a gap, but that's okay, because we're covering that gap up with this piece. So I just want to lay them on there without adding adhesive and just check them out. And I like the way they're sitting, so I can go ahead and add this one. You know what? I might just go ahead and use liquid glue on this as well to make sure it all gets stuck down. There we go. And so what I want to do is line it up with the edge like that, because I've already trimmed it. Now, if I hadn't already trimmed it, I could stick it on and then trim it off once I was done. You just flip it over and trim it off, but I kind of did that ahead of time. And then I might as well continue on with the liquid glue. We're going to add this piece on. So are you like me and you hold on to the scrappy bits? I know I hold on to lots of scrappy bits because I figure even if I can't use it on a layout, I can use a little scrappy bit on a card. I can cut a little something out of it. I can tuck it behind somewhere. So I tend to hold on to stuff. And I don't put them in like a scrap bin. I keep them with my collection until I'm satisfied that I've done everything I'm going to do with my collection. And that's usually when I run out of stuff. But after that, if there's any cardstock pieces or anything, I put them in with my regular color differentiated cardstocks. But otherwise, I keep my collection. I keep my picture of my life cards. I keep my stickers. I keep the die cuts. I keep all those things all in one zippy bag, you know, the bags that we get our paper packs in. I keep them all together, and that way I don't have to go looking for them. I know they're all there, and then once they're used up, they're used up. Good evening, Heather. Hello, hello. How was Scrap Fest? Everybody has been so busy this weekend. There's been so much fun stuff happening. Okay, now I'm going to actually turn this around because there's going to be, I'm doing the same thing at the top of the page, but I have a hard time lining things up when they're so far away from me. So I'm going to bring it in like this, and I'm bringing in the same zip strip. This is the wonderful thing about our paper packs, is because you get 2 of each sheet. That means you also get 2 zip strips that match. Yay! And so I'm going to go ahead and stick this down, make sure it's going the direction that I want. I want my doilies to kind of look like they're popping out from behind that mist diagonal zip strip. So put that down first, and so I'm just kind of repeating what I did before. And here's my little diagonal zip strip again, adding my glue to my base page to attach this. Just like that, all the way along. And then we can attach this. Da, da, da. All the way. And there's also something that I'm going to use tonight that I have never used before. I was excited when I bought it, and then I didn't use it right away. And so now I'm like, oh, gotta get that out, gotta use it. Okay, so now I have the other piece that was torn from that layout that we did during the crop. I'm just going to lay it here and then bring in, so you can see this piece is a lot shorter than this other blue one, which is good that it's going on an angle, because it kind of disappears behind the other one. But that's, you know, even if you don't have a full-size piece, you can absolutely use pieces that aren't quite big enough. You can make them work. Just got to think about how you're going to do it. Get creative. So there we go. That was actually something that I had die cut some pieces out of. So it had gone through my my die cut machine, and I had die cut the pieces, and so there was a weird shape. There's something cut out here, and that's why this was not the same length as that one. But it works. It totally works. And then let's add this other layer on. I like this idea of kind of layering things up, because this pattern paper collection really lends itself to that sort of vintagey, scrappy, layered up, kind of shabby chic look. And so you might as well just go with it. And there we go. And that's going to look upside down, but remember we turned our page around. So I can line everything up. And there we go. Lovely. So it kind of looks like we're looking inside something that's all been kind of ripped open and layered up, and really kind of fun like that. Okay. So now what I want to do is I want to bring in my photos. And the photos that I want to use are here, and I want to feature this one because it's all 5 generations in this photo. This photo is also 5 generations, but it's from a little bit different angle, and my husband kind of has a weird look on his face, so it's not going to be the most prominent one. And then we also have these 2 photos, and they're not, you know, the best centered photo on this side. We could not get Great Grandma to look at the camera at all. She was busy looking at Justin. He was the star of the show. But I really like how this one turned out with the you know, the great grandpa and the grandma and the grandson. So we're going to kind of feature that one. And the way that I want to do this is I'm going to stick, let me see, these two photos onto my base page. And then these two photos, what I'm going to do for this is I'm going to put these inside of a flip flap. And I don't often show these flip flaps when I'm creating on a live video, but I'm going to do it today. So what I want to do is I want to have one picture that's going to be kind of featured there on top, even when the flip flap isn't open. And then this other photo, when this flips up, because I'm going to do it horizontally, will be in behind like this. So I can take my two photos and just put them back to back and then tuck them down in, and you kind of go in behind here. If you've never used a flip flap before, these are the 4x6 ones. And so there's an opening to slide your photos in, and you could either use it this way or this way, so horizontally or vertically, and of course you could go the opposite directions as well. And one side has this peel off bit like this. So once I get the rest of my layout put together, I will show you how to affix this to the front of your page protector so that you can then have this on top of your layout and be able to flip up, see the other pictures underneath, but these are the two featured pictures. This is also a great way to add extra photos to your layout, because if I tried to lay all 4 photos on this layout, it might be just a little busy because there's a lot of things happening in the photos and there's a decent amount of stuff happening in the background, and we're going to add more. We're adding more. So I'm going to set these aside for now, and I'm going to attach my photos. Now, I am not going to add any matting to these photos. I'm going to leave them as they are, as is. And because I've already got nice colored cardstock in behind, I'm already doing a lot of stuff on this page, so I don't feel that I need to mat them. I'm just going to leave them the way they are. And that way they'll kind of blend in with that flip flap as well. So let me just go ahead and line this up. I'm going to kind of shift it down a little bit so that it's about 3 3/4 up from the bottom. So it's just below center on the page. And that's going to give us some room at the top for our title. Although I don't know if I need that much room. I might not need that much room. Maybe I'll change my mind and move it. Let's see. Let's see how easy this is. If it's going to be too hard to move, I won't bother, but maybe I will center it. Maybe, just maybe. We've kept everything kind of asymmetrical going so far. Look at that. I think it's going to be successful. Sometimes the glue wants to try and pull up the cardstock. But so far, so good. It's getting a little sticky there. Okay, so I am going to center it. I'm going to put it right on the 4 and line it up with the 8. So it's right in the middle, because I'm going to do some kind of busy stuff down here. So I want a little bit of a buffer. And then these can just line right up there like that. Beautiful. Okay, now I also wanted to bring in, you will notice in these photos that Grandma and Great Grandma are both wearing kind of dark clothes. And one of the zip strips in this collection was a dark background, florally kind of zip strip. So I'm just going to kind of tear the end here. And these are ones that are just kind of leftover bits. And I'm going to add these in. I just had 2 little bits of it left because I used them for making cards and a layout. And so I just wanted to add a little tiny bit of that dark floral to kind of pull in what they're wearing. So I've got a piece up there, and then this one I'm going to just trim the end of this one straight, and I'm going to tear this one like that, and I'll add this one down at the bottom. So we're kind of doing the, you know, the same. Same but different. I'm going to put this one over on the left side, just like that. Nice. Okay. I love some of the wording that you can see coming through from this pattern paper. We've got love this life, all smiles. I think that works really nice with this collection of photos. And so the what I want to use for my title, I had considered using some of the ones from the sticker sheet, but then I got the brilliant idea, since we have so much wood happening down here, that I would bring in my wood grain alphabet die cuts, which I haven't used before. It may look like I've used it, but I've already pulled the pieces out for this layout. And so these are paperboard. Even though they're wood grain, they're not chunky, they're low profile. They're just very nice and slim. So I've pulled out, and I'm just going to kind of do this, because I've got a whole bunch of letters there. I've pulled out all the letters to spell 5 generations, because I think it's really cool to have, because not everybody would be able to get this kind of photo. I know at this point we wouldn't be able to in our family, so I think it's nice to kind of highlight the fact that we've got 5 generations going on here. So let me make sure I spelt it right. And we're just going to lay those on there like that. Jen. Ooh. Who's spelling it in their head with me? Generations. And then, of course, we have to get our spacing kind of lined up. I-O-N-S. 5 generations. Now I just have to remember whether this is supposed to go this way or this way. Let me look at the sheet. The small one on the top. That made more sense to me too. That's how I had it the first time. Okay, so we need to kind of make sure that we get it a bit centered. 5. And then move it in a little bit. And kind of shuffle on down. This is like on the cadets when they're doing the getting all set up for inspection. Right marker, and then they shuffle on down. Yep, there we go. Okay, so now we need to stick all those on there. And so I'm going to use my trick where I put some glue on my hand. Like that. And I'm going to use my tweezers. And we're just going to tap, tap, tap in the glue. And stick them on. And hope for the best. These are all on a little bit of a slant because of the font that they are. So one thing that's nice is that I have my photos here. Oops, slid on me. I have my photos here to kind of have something to line up against. And if you've never done this before with your glue, it's a really helpful way of getting fine little things glued. You just put a little bit of glue on your hand, and you tap it in the glue, and then tap it off on your hand, and it removes any excess, and it tends not to make the puddles. You know, when you usually stick something down and you get like a puddle of glue around it. So that's what we're trying to avoid. Now, I think I will start from this end. And there we go. And the end. This is why I had to stick it all down there first, because if I started trying to put my word together backwards, good luck. Spelling forwards I'm good at. Spelling backwards, nah, not so much. And the tweezers really help with this because you don't get glue all over yourself. Well, in one way you get glue all over yourself because I've got glue all over my hand, but you don't get it on your fingertips. And then you don't leave weird gluey fingerprints everywhere. And now we got our eye. Anybody else do this trick that I've taught you guys with the glue on the hand. I find it comes in handy for doing little flowery bits, for doing doily things, anything that's really fine and lacy and you just don't want to get everywhere. It works very well. And you can even flip it over and make sure, yeah, there's glue on there. Because sometimes you feel like, feels like all the glue is gone, but it's still working. And then when you're all done, it just dries on your hand. You peel it off, just like kids in public school used to do. Oh, look, I'm peeling my skin. All right. There's our E. And these wood grain die cuts, the alphabets, you can also color them with ink. So if you didn't want to have the plain sort of brownish ones, you could absolutely take some ink and color them up. You can do it while it's on the carrier sheet, if you're going to do all of them. Or you can just lay them down on your all-purpose mat and have a go at it. Tint them a different color. Totally works. All right, there we go. 5 generations. Loving that. And then I want to do a little bit of decoration down at the bottom. Add a little bit of pizzazz. And so I've got here one of the stickers from the sticker sheet. Let me just bring this in. It's been pillaged quite a bit, but this has been one of my favorite ones and I've been waiting to use it. So what I've done is I've pulled it off the sticker sheet. I've added foam tape to the back, and then I've used my anti-static pouch to remove the stickiness from it. And I want to kind of lay it here on my page like so. And I'm just going to leave it sitting there for a minute. And I'm going to bring in, I think, these postcards and kind of tuck them under there as well, just to add a little bit of something. And, but before I do that, I want to bring in some of those stamped and fussy cut florals that I was talking about. So I've got some in honey butter and mulberry. And I've got some pine leafy bits. I've got some toffee, if I can get a hold of it. And some of the mist as well. And then a few more pine leaves that I've pulled out. And I want to kind of make a little bit of a cluster here. And so I'm going to be tucking them underneath the edge of my torn paper. So they look like they're kind of coming up from under there. So let's get these sort of tucked. And I don't mind if they come up over the photo a little bit. Not a lot, but a little bit. And stick those on there. And then, let me see, we'll tuck this little guy in there like that. Maybe have some little toffee coming up there. Put our little blue guy there. Tuck this guy. Tuck this guy. And then, let's see, a couple little leafies. Like so. Kind of hanging out together. And then this little guy can maybe tuck in there like that. So we've created a nice little cluster. And then this is also a little cluster, but it's coming out of a jar and it's above all those pattern papers. So even though we've got florals happening on both sides and they're similar colors, we are kind of mixing up how they look. So let's go ahead and we'll stick these down. We'll kind of start from the back and work our way forward. So on these little guys, I like to just add a little bit of glue on the stems, like so. And then this one, in fact, I'm not going to do any foam tape on any of these. Just kind of keep them low profile. Just like that. Tuck this guy under. Move that one right out of the way. Just make sure I don't go too far up into the photo. There we go. And we'll add this bigger one. This one was done in the mulberry. Like that. Very nice. And add this little leafy number. Some of these I can even dip in the glue on my hand if I want, but it's getting kind of dry. So we'll just tuck them in like that. So pretty. I love all the colors in this collection. They really work well together. Like all the collections, really. You know, the art department really thinks long and hard about what colors to put together. And they always look so pretty. And it's also a good idea if you are the kind of person that has a hard time deciding what colors to put together on a project. If you take the catalog and keep track of it. Let me show you on the front here. Inside the catalog, on that opening page of each collection, you see down at the bottom this strip. And this is showing you all the colors that you're going to see. So if you need to pull a different piece of cardstock or a different ink color, this is your go-to resource. And when you're all done with this collection, you can even save this little strip of colors or the whole catalog, because frankly, there's lots of layouts and cards in there that you can replicate. Keep that strip, and then you will know that those colors will, in the future, will work together. You can just have a whole, you know, pages of these colors work together strips, you know. Okay, so now that we've got our little florals down there, I'm going to bring in my other stickers. I want to use this little pack of postcards. And I'm leaving this little area right here because I want to do some journaling there. So that's going to be my journaling spot. So, but I kind of want to have a little something going on over here. And I can go ahead and take the backing off my foam tape. If you do that trick with the anti-static pouch, and leave the backing on your foam tape, then when you remove the backing, your item will still stick, just not everywhere. Only on the foam tape. And I just used the thin foam tape for this, because I didn't need a lot of height. And we can go ahead and stick that down like so. And now I'm trying to decide whether I was going to add just a little bit of florals up here. So I had pulled out a few more of the little bits here, but I wasn't 100% sure because we've got lots of things happening. But maybe I'll just take a quick look here to see if I want to add just a little something. Because it's nice when you're adding things onto a layout that you do threes. So we've got a cluster of flowers here. We've got a cluster of flowers here. So it might be nice to add a little cluster of flowers either in the center or off to the side, just a smidge. Just to kind of acknowledge that trio. And let's see. I don't know if I want too much, but we could add a little something. What do you guys think? Are we liking that? We could add that, just that little touch. And yeah, I kind of like that. So let's go ahead and glue that down and add our little leafies. Hey, Carol, you just got back? Oh, nice. Okay. Just got back. How's she doing? Just adding these on quickly with my glue, layering them up like so. We'll add this little guy. And you notice I'm only adding glue in the center because you know what? It can create a little bit of lift off of your page. You might not see it so much once the page protector is there, but it's kind of a little something. There we go. Just tuck that in there like that. And it also brings that yellow up that we have down here, which is nice to have another hit of that yellow. There's a little bit in the paper, the honey butter. And then I want to bring in a few little blings. So I've got my clear sparkles because I don't want to add any other color, but I want to add a little bit of sparkle. So I've got that, and I can't see my piercing tool, but that's okay. I'll just use my scissors. Your scissors can work just like the piercing tool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually add these to the centers of some of the flowers, just for fun. So this one's going to kind of tuck right under there like that. And then down here, we can add it to these little guys. So pretty. And then, since we like threes, let's just tuck another little one right there. And maybe another little one. Just tuck it right in there like that. Lovely. Where did I leave? Trying to see in the sea of gorgeousness where I left my little bit. Okay, so now because I want to show you what I'm doing with the flip flap, I'm going to bring in one of our memory protectors. This is a 12 by 12, and this is a top loading memory protector. If you're like me and you don't scrapbook chronologically, the top loading memory protectors are your friend, because that means you can pull layouts out of an album and put layouts in an album without having to pull all the pages out. You can just swap them around inside the layout. Now, I'm just got to be careful because I've got all these zip strips at the top. I don't want to lose any. There we go. Get them all tucked in. And so there, we've got it in our memory protector, and I can pull it back out and add my journaling afterwards. But I wanted to show you how to add our flip flap. So I want my flip flap to lay here on my page. And I'm just going to shuffle my photos a smidge because they're a little bit offset with each other. There we go. And they got little weird white lines showing. Flip flaps are great. You can add hidden journaling with a flip flap. So much stuff that you can do. There we go. So we've got it all tucked in. The other thing to remember is that our flip flap is going to open up like this. So you want the photo underneath to be the right direction. You don't want it in there upside down. So what I do is I tuck everything in from behind, and then I have my adhesive bit here on the front. Just peel that off and try and get it to get off of your hand because it'll static to you. And then I fold this in behind, just like that. And then what I do is I line up my photo with the photo underneath. That is what you're lining up with. You're not lining up with the edge of your page. You're not doing any of those things. You're lining up with whatever you're putting it on top of. Okay? So that it gets on there good. And then you just stick it down like so. And that is now your flip flap. So you've got your 5 generations. And you've got your flip flap so you can see all the extra photos, the ones that were just not quite as good as the ones on the front. Or hidden journaling, or just because you have so many photos. So let's go through that again. We've got our base page with our mulberry. We have added zip strips cut in half even. And then we've also got little strips that were just left over. We've got those torn papers that were left over from our layout that we did during the crop. And then we've layered it up with some of those stamped floral blossoms, flowers that are done in the coordinating ink colors. Then we have some lovely stickers. We have our very thin paperboard wood grain die cuts for our title. And then a few little blings added in there. Our nice little flip flap. And of course it's all a little hard to show you because now all my lights are shining off of the memory protectors. But how gorgeous is that? I just love how that came together. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing that and to use up those little scraps that were left over from a previous layout. All right, have a wonderful evening and we will see you again soon. Toodaloo! Bye!